Terminator Dark Fate is a new movie directed by Tim Miller, and this movie stars Linda Hamilton. She reprised her role as Sarah Connor. Also, Arnold Schwarzenegger reprised his role as Terminator T-800. I mean, I don't know if that's a spoiler, but he's in the movie. Gabrielle Luna plays the Liquid Terminator in this movie, and this movie is a sequel to the first two Terminators, like Terminator 1 and Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Basically, Terminator Rise of Machines is no longer existent in the Terminator franchise. It's retconned, and the sequels that came afterwards, Terminator Salvation is no longer existent. It's retconned. Terminator Genesis shit is no longer in the series. That shit has been retconned as well, and I believe that the TV series Sarah Connor Chronicles has been retconned as well, and this movie Dark Fate is essentially the sequel to the second movie, Judgment Day. Basically has a simple plot. A Terminator sent from the future is trying to kill a new character named Danny because she is connected to the future, and Sarah Connor comes back to protect her, and along with her new friend being played by Mackenzie Davis. She is like an android / human hybrid, and they're protecting this girl, and we pretty much have our movie Terminator Dark Fate. I'm going to basically tell you guys that I didn't really like this movie. Basically, I don't know. The first 2 minutes I felt like was a huge FU to the whole entire franchise. Well, in the most weird way thing about it, like I almost had the same experience as if I was watching Batman Hush. Because if those of you who seen my review of Batman Hush, one of my main complaints of that movie is when they went against the actual source material and they changed something drastically to the character that kind of went against the confines of its story and the whole purpose of the Hush storyline. Even though that James Cameron is returning, the guy who created the Terminator franchise, and he directed the first two movies, the Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 was basically really great movies for its time. I really do admire those movies, and then him coming back to produce it, I thought maybe he would save it. And this movie, like I said, don't take my word for it. This movie is getting decisive, I feel like, and people were saying that this movie is a return of, the franchise, is the best movie since Judgment Day, and I had to slightly disagree because I feel like Rise of Machines was a better movie overall than this film. I gotta say the performances were fine in this movie. The girl who played Danny in this movie, she did a good job with her performance. I'm not really knocking the performances. Sarah Connor, who's being played by Linda Hamilton, she was badass. I absolutely love her performance. She was hardened, she was grizzled, she was all of that. She's all of that in a cup of tea. She showed her badassery. I really do admire that. Mackenzie Davis, she plays the cyborg. I forgot her name. She did a decent job of her performance. It wasn't a bad performance. This movie has some decent action sequences throughout. It has some decent explosions. Some of the fight choreography was pretty good, and the special effects revolving around its action sequences. I really do like the action sequences. This actually was pretty good, and I really admire that. And also, Gabrielle Luna, he plays a new version, like the Liquid Terminator, that's strictly OP in this movie. Gabrielle Luna did a fantastic job, but for he went with the script and what the screenplay wanted him to do, Gabrielle Luna was definitely a badass, and I did like his performance. How this movie was directed was pretty good. I didn't like the choices in this movie. I did not like the writing choices revolving around certain characters, especially around Arnold Schwarzenegger's character. Pretty much this whole entire movie was like a cat and mouse with a whole bunch of gun blazing and explosions. And the thing about it that I just didn't like the most was Arnold Schwarzenegger's character's reason to meet up with Sarah Connor. I did not like the writing revolving around that. It just completely mind-boggled me, and I'm like, this was the reason why we have Sarah Connor and Arnold Schwarzenegger on screen together. I was literally laughing my ass off, and I was like, really? Y'all really went this way? Y'all really went this way? Y'all and it went against the plot of Terminator itself, and I can't go into full details of that because you're just gonna have to watch the movie to find out, to understand what I'm talking about and what I mean. Everything else from the opening scene leading up to the whole entire movie, it just completely went against the whole legacy of the Terminator. When you're establishing something, continue on with the story. Then you bring in something new, you gotta give that a backstory. This new direction that they went to, they didn't really give this thing a backstory. And it felt like I was watching a filler episode or something. And I can't really say this is a trilogy. I cannot look back on this Terminator franchise and look at this movie and say, this was a perfect trilogy. It didn't really feel like a trilogy on its own. It almost felt like a spin-off in a way. And that was a huge problem for me. But I feel like this movie will be decisive. You either love it or hate it, so don't take my word for it. I'm going to give Terminator a Val Kilmer Batman. This is a forgettable movie. I had a huge problem with the story. I had a huge problem with, this direction. It didn't really flesh out the reasons why they went to this new direction. The film didn't really give out a backstory. They just gave vague layers to this new direction revolving around this character Danny. That's my review of Terminator Dark Fate. Have you seen Terminator Dark Fate? What are your thoughts? Comment below, and I'll see you guys next review. And if you like everything you see and you agree, subscribe to my channel and join me in the Batman family. I have more Batman-tastic reviews in the way. You have been warned. Till then, ciao.